WeWork India presents CNBC-TV18 The Titans, co-presented by PhonePe.
Good evening and welcome to WeWork India presents CNBC-TV18 The Titans, co-presented by PhonePe. Every growth story has its headline numbers: market highs, fundraising cycles, consumer demand, and global expansion. But behind those numbers are leaders making the decisions that shape what comes next. That is what the Titans is about: bringing together leaders, building businesses, deploying capital, driving innovation, and shaping India's next phase of growth. Before we begin, I would also like to extend our sincere gratitude to our partners, our presenting partner, WeWork India, and our co-presenting partner, PhonePe. And now, to officially welcome you to the summit, please join me in inviting India's most respected business journalist and the managing editor of CNBC TV18, Shireen Bhan. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for her.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, the last few years, India's story has been told through the lens of confidence, growth, scale, consumption, digital infrastructure, and capital formation. Now, all of that still remains true, but 2026 is asking a harder question. Who can keep building when capital becomes selective, input costs turn volatile, and the external environment refuses to stay benign? That is what this room represents. The leaders on this stage tonight are not here because India's story is easy. They're here because they've navigated the parts of it that are not. Tonight is about that kind of leadership. It's about capital. It's about experience. It's about category creation. It is about the future of where and how India works and what it means to build a truly knowledge-driven enterprise in a country that's becoming central to the world's knowledge economy. Now, Warren Buffett once said, "Only when the tide goes out do you discover who's been swimming naked." The tide has not gone out in India, but it has pulled back enough to show us who's been building and who's been merely staying afloat. So it is time to focus on building IP, building globally relevant brands, building businesses that have strong balance sheets, but even stronger ambition. It is time to create an environment that truly allows 1,000 flowers to bloom. And that is the spirit that we hope to celebrate and recognize tonight. And now we begin tonight's experience with a truly special tribute to India's timeless cultural heritage. It is an honor to present a rare musical performance that brings together legacy, tradition, and extraordinary artistry across 3 generations of one of India's most celebrated musical families. The sarod has remained one of the most iconic instruments in Indian classical music, and few have elevated its global legacy like the Grammy-winning sarod grandmaster Ustad Amjad Ali Khan Saab. Joining him on stage are his sons, the acclaimed musicians Aman Ali Bangash and Ayan Ali Bangash, along with the youngest torchbearers of this remarkable lineage, Zohan Ali Bangash and Abir Ali Bangash. Together, they form the extraordinary 3-generation sarod quintet, 5 artists, 3 generations, 1 unforgettable performance. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome him with a huge round of applause.
Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, India's growth story today is being shaped by a new generation of businesses, leaders, and ideas redefining the way we work, innovate, and build for the future. At the center of this transformation is the evolving workplace itself, a space that is becoming more flexible, collaborative, and deeply connected to how modern enterprises grow and succeed. Today, we have someone instrumental in shaping this evolution in India. Under his leadership, WeWork India has emerged as one of the country's leading flexible workspace platforms, redefining how businesses, entrepreneurs, and enterprises collaborate and grow in a rapidly evolving work environment. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Karan Veervani, the Managing Director and CEO of WeWork India.
For a long time, India's role in the global economy was we supply talent, we build products, we scale companies, and we solved hard problems, but mostly for other people's businesses and balance sheets. And we became exceptionally good at it. And a big part of that came from global businesses actually scaling and building here at scale. That's something that we see firsthand at WeWork India daily. Almost 70% of our business comes from companies, GCCs, multinationals, actually setting up in India, using India's talent to build businesses for them. Now you're starting to see the next chapter of that story, where more founders are taking that experience that they've learned in building these companies and actually starting to build companies of their own from India to the world. This shift is bigger than most people realize because for the first time, all the ingredients are actually here at once. We have talent, we have capital, we have a market that's at scale, we have infrastructure and ambition, and more increasingly, young India is building confidence. And I think what makes this moment so exciting and so interesting for the country is, for years, India's actually helped build global businesses. Now, increasingly, global businesses are being built from India. And that shift, because that's a very different shift, because once a country starts building globally significant businesses from the ecosystem and within the ecosystem, it compounds so quickly. I think India is very, very close to that moment, or closer to that moment than most people realize. And India doesn't need to be the next Silicon Valley. India needs to just be the first India. And I think people building through this next decade will shape not just the future of what Indian businesses are, but the future of what global businesses will become as well.
Well, some businesses compete in existing markets, others create entirely new ones. Creating a new market is never just about launching a product. It is about changing habits, building trust, shaping consumer behavior, and often solving problems people did not fully realize existed. And once that market begins to grow, the challenge becomes even bigger, staying ahead in the very category you helped create. Please put your hands together for Harshal Salo, the co-founder of the Sleep Company. Next up is Ankush Grover, co-founder and global CEO, Rebel Foods, and Pranam Maheshwari, co-founder of Stay Vista. We all know that consumer brands eventually, compete far more than technology alone. And as the space gets more crowded, what do you believe is now your moat?
We believe that a brand is our moat, and we want to continue to keep evolving our brand. We also believe that customer experience is extremely important. And as a company, we are both backward and forward integrated. And I think the most important moat that we have is customer trust, right?
Yeah.
So a customer whose sleep has improved by using our products is probably the most defensible moat that we have.
And that's definitely your biggest moat. Hospitality is usually associated with high capital density, yet Stay Vista has repeatedly spoken about how capital efficient you are. Was that discipline, was that a deliberate design that you have to be, leaner and, more selective?
Yeah, so it was both, I would say. It was a choice and a force. We are working with high value assets, homeowners. Honestly, what keeps a homeowner, doesn't provide homeowner sleep at night is the kind of person who's walking into the property and is the property going to get damaged. So we are trustworthy partners for them, and that is what we were solving for.
All right, Ankush, over the years, Rebel Foods has, of course, built a diversified food brand portfolio in the market. At scale today, what matters more is owning kitchen infrastructure, owning consumer data, or owning brands that have strong recall and repeat behavior.
For food, which always matter is taste, quality, and value. I think that's the core which we worked. And over the years, I think the moat we build with, again, I said, technologies are always a focus is. At scale, we have standardization as well as customization, which is an option. So because South is spicy, North is less spicy. So that's what we're building with more tech.
You've described the consumer journey as ROPO, research online, purchase offline. So what did that shift teach you about the consumer of today?
Sleep is becoming very important for them, and they are doing a lot of their research. Most of the research that all our consumers are doing is online, where they're going to our website, comparing us versus other brands, competition. But at the same time, they are not ready to make a purchase only by doing online research.
Yes.
They want to feel the product, they want to touch the product, they want to experience it, they want to know more about it, and that's where our experience centers come into play. So I think today in this category, both are required. Online is to probably generate curiosity amongst customers, and offline is more of a conversion-led model.
What is the thesis behind sort of entering urban hospitality now? You're competing with Airbnbs. What are you offering that, service departments don't?
Indian travel is not restricted only for holidays. We are traveling all the time for work, meetings, events, even leisure happens in cities. And if you look at the supply which exists, it would be hotels, which will have an impersonal and maybe an expensive kind of offering for a longer term stay, or you have unorganized service apartment or Airbnbs. Where we come in is bring that stay vista element of a home to the city, ensuring that what you will get is a good, nice service along with all the reliable parameters into the space. And it is actually not a diversion, but more of an extension to the brand.
Over the next 5 years, what does the next phase of Indian food delivery look like, and where does Rebel find itself?
Indians have now well-traveled. So if I go back, like it used to be Indian, South Indian, or Chinese, now kids want sushi, some want Korean. So I think more variety. Again, as you said, more habit. And also I think there are two ways it is being growing. One is obviously, if you look at sandwiches, Chinese, sushi, then you have more Korean coming. And the other side is health, where I think what we feel, which we want to build is more on the habit, on the lifestyle side, and work on more, again, further leveraging technology in terms of what is my Whoop saying, what I am feeling today, or what is my health device saying, and then accordingly, if you can cater to the demand for the customer.
Right, on that note, it's time for me to wrap up this conversation, gentlemen. Many thanks for your insights. It was an absolute pleasure talking to the three of you.
WeWork India presents CNBC-TV18 The Titans, co-presented by PhonePe. WeWork India presents CNBC-TV18 The Titans, co-presented by PhonePe.
India is witnessing record office leasing activity and a sharp rise in demand for flexible workspaces. Flex spaces today are no longer seen as an alternative to traditional offices. They are becoming a core part of how businesses think about growth, talent, collaboration, and scalability. That is exactly what this next conversation will explore. And to lead the discussion, please welcome Sonal Bhutra from CNBC-TV18. And joining her on stage, please give a huge round of applause to Karan Veerwani, the Managing Director and CEO, WeWork India. We also have Gulam Zia, International Partner and Senior Executive Director, Knight Frank India, and Niranjan Hiranandani, the co-founder and Managing Director, Hiranandani Group. Sonal, over to you.
I'm just going to start with you, Karan, because we've been talking about flex spaces growing rapidly. It's actually, the stock is growing 2 times the commercial space stock as well, the office stock that is. It's all that the market can talk about. And WeWork is grossing revenues, which is highest in the industry as well. Yeah. What has been the initial reaction?
So, firstly, thank you. And it is, you are right today, flexible workspaces, roughly about 100 million square foot of the close to about 1 billion square foot of commercial real estate that's there. So we've grown to become 10% of the market, but nearly 20% of all new leasing is happening within the flex space. I think last quarter, it was the first time we crossed IT and technology as a sector of actually leasing up space, which has predominantly led, commercial real estate for the last decade or so, or more than 2 decades almost. Now, in terms of, I think the comment made on work from home and things like that, we've seen this sort of happen and evolve from COVID. It really started in COVID, where people started adopting a hybrid model, whether it was work from home or work from office or sort of in between. What became clear during COVID, through this period, and also now, is that people actually don't want to work from home. They're unproductive working from home, and operators, CEOs, etc., don't want their employees to work from home for an extended period of time, because you can't really get the most out of employees. And when you're building a business, you need to come together, you need to have culture, you need to collaborate, you need to do all of that, and you need a space to always do it. So yeah, I hope it doesn't stay for long, but if it does, it will hopefully benefit us like it did during COVID.
Okay, so now it's not a worry for you. Mr. Hiranandani, COVID, because of work from home, did see a massive growth in residential real estate. Of course, it's a different time now. We are talking about supply constraints. We are talking about how construction costs have risen. And maybe there was a slight blip in real estate demand as well. What does all of it mean for the residential real estate sector as we speak? Is this something that could lead to higher home buying?
In the last 3 years post-COVID, we've seen a growth of 10 to 15% growth of the overall real estate market. This is going to grow because of two reasons. One is consolidation is taking place in the real estate field. Overall, you are seeing that happen. So if you had 18,000 developers in the Mumbai metropolitan region registered, we have now 12,000. I know 12,000 is a big number, but let me tell you that the very fact is consolidation has taken place. The second part of it is we are seeing a skewed demand increase. And what is that? The middle and the luxury and the higher end is growing exponentially at 15 to 17%. Affordable housing has fallen by 20% in the last 20 months. As far as the headwinds are concerned, it is our belief that all these headwinds will be in favor of residential real estate. So if you see overall, it's our belief that whatever happens, the residential real estate will grow if India grows.
The American market is more than 10 times of Indian office market. So they are some 11 odd billion square feet. Next in line is Chinese, which is about 6.5, 7 odd billion. Just above us is Japanese, about 1.8. We are right now 1.1 odd billion. And now let's come to flex spaces. American flex space is about 3%, Japanese 2.6%, and Chinese about 2.8%. We are talking about 10%. However, the big difference between the global trend and us is that we have a large chunk of managed offices also coming in that category, which is not so much of a trend globally when you look at that. Here, large corporates are asking, likes of WeWorks to actually take care of their office spaces because there are values, of course. There's a tremendous value coming in, so it's happening. So my only concern is, where will this growth trend end? When we are reaching 2 billion mark, will this be still 25% or it will shrink? I would rather want to believe that we have started on a low base. So this growth we are talking about is so good, unbelievable, that 10% of the overall number is looking big. But as we are growing, overall office space growth happens in the country. It may not continue on the same trajectory. So as we go ahead, maybe it will not be 3%, come down to 3%, maybe 5% or 6% of overall inventory of the space. But the concern is that somewhere it will slow down.
What would it take to expand across the country? Because it would be a difficult task.
It's really partnering with these 12, 16, 20, real estate developers, and we want to basically with them be the highest repeat customer that they have. We build strong relationships with these developers. We see supply that's coming in, years from now. And honestly, we want to just be a very high repeat customer. Like, with Sir, we'll want to take some space in every single commercial asset that he builds, because we know, someone like them will build in the best locations, or they'll create a destination itself. So idea is to just latch on to and partner with sort of like the best developers and just, keep taking space with them.
Mr. Hiranandani, what is this one thing that buyers are not understanding at this point in time, maybe from a positive or a negative side, and they should be aware considering the scenario that we are in or interest rate cycle that we are in?
I think there is a demand for a quality of life which did not exist, was not present prior to COVID. Earlier, if you gave them a good house, a good building, they were very happy. That's gone. They want all the facilities conveniently, the accessibility, the transport, the hospital, the availability of shopping mall, as he mentioned over there, and other facilities to be close to the fact that they are. That's the difference. So you now create destinations. So you can today be 10 kilometers away or 20 kilometers away, and you create that as a destination, and you bring all these facilities together, and you will be able to create a new environment completely which did not exist just 5 years ago. And that is continuing to happen in grade A spaces, but also grade B spaces. But this is going to grow much faster. So today, when you say that I'm far away destination, but you're making an isolated building, that's not going to work anymore today. The third point is infrastructure. You're getting areas where the growth story is going to be stupendous, and the places where the things are not going to grow equally strongly. And one of the rare times when we both agree on the issues, that yes, you will get islands of excellence, islands where things are not doing as well as other things are there. But one change surprises Niranjan Hiranandani. I've never seen in my 45 years plus of business the downfall of affordable housing to the extent to which it has taken place in the last 20 months. I'm scared. It can't happen in India because you have to cater for that segment. I have been thinking. We are debating with the government. We are suggesting. We only think that rental housing is going to be the answer to that. Just like you have rental for commercial, you will have to do it. Government of India is considering it. Our state governments are looking at it. And I think we will have to give some incentivization to create it. And CSR money, charitable trusts, and others will have to create something on rental housing in the next couple of years, because this segment is scary. You can't have a country where growth is taking place, how land is getting expensive, homes are becoming expensive, inflation is taking place, and you're not able to have a full answer for this segment. How can you have Atmanirbhar Bharat and growth and prosperity that we see without this segment taking place?
What about real estate? Commercial real estate has been seeing a lot of interest. Has that continued despite whatever's happening?
Well, there has been a shrinkage in foreign investment in Indian real estate. And that's perhaps because of lack of good office opportunities, because of foreign investors are not keen to invest in residential side, because of intrinsic concerns, etc. Many of them are actually looking at investing in residential as well. So when a Blackstone takes up a position in a listed residential player, it tells you another story. However, those are far and few. The focus remains office for foreign investment to come in. Of course, warehousing is another sector where foreign investment has come in hordes. So last couple of years, these two sectors have taken lion's share of FIs. The problem is overall shrinkage in this funding coming in to India is something which is worrisome. So in the long term, we have to look at allowing Indian funds, Indian money also to pump into real estate, create good opportunities for our own money to come in. So overall, I would believe that as the country is growing, the real estate is growing, somewhere foreign investment has fallen behind.
A lot more questions, but such an interesting conversation. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today.
WeWork India presents CNBC-TV18 The Titans, co-presented by PhonePe.